Street Fighter 6 has a throw loop problem. We got tweets like this from Bananakin. I think at this point, throw loops are almost universally disliked. Even if Capcom becomes the ultimate case study on why they should go, Capcom probably would need another season just to design an alternative. Maybe they're working on it. We got tweets from like Arslan Ash, who has been watching Capcom Cup for 3 days and disagrees with Street Fighter 6 being the best game because throw loops just look so oppressive. And we got this tweet from Red Blade. If I lost 900k off of throw loops, you'd actually see me on the news. So if you've been watching Street Fighter 6 Capcom Cup at all, throw loops are massively abundant with many rounds being decided off of just one throw. And I'll give my take on throw loops at the end of this video, but I want you to consider something. There are a ton of fighting games out there and none of them have this problem. So why? And what can Capcom learn from the rest of the fighting game scene in order to fix this? I came up with 4 main reasons that separate throws in Street Fighter 6 from other games. The first, throws are just riskier. So one of the things that separates throws in Street Fighter 6 from other games is that they beat many different options. A very common option that throws lose to in 2D games is jump. All right, so throw loop. All right, how do I get out of this? Okay, let me try jump. Yeah, you can just anti-air them on the way down. Even if they jump out of the corner, like you can put them back in the corner, right? What about mash? So in a lot of games, mash will beat throw. Mash does not beat throw. You basically have 3 stable options. You can either tech a throw, do invincible reversal, or you can backdash. Obviously, all of these have issues, right? Just simply teching a throw doesn't really get you anything. You're just still back in the corner, and it comes with a lot of risk. The opponent could just walk back, walk forward, and beat your throw. Yeah, I just get punished, and then I literally die. The same thing that beats a throw tech also beats an invincible reversal. So the only other option is backdash. You've probably seen this before in ranked where you backdash a throw, you get a full punish. Okay, that seems pretty good. The issue is against good players. If you backdash a throw and they time their throw correctly, you actually can't punish it. So even backdash is not a reliable option, especially considering the amount of risk, and you get almost no reward. So throws carry very, very little risk. They're a hard counter to certain things like parry and some reversals. Let's compare that with Gramble. So in terms of reward, you could actually say throws are actually more rewarding. You get mid-screen throw loops, you can get safe jumps, you can get setups off of them. But the main difference between throws is that they can be beaten in a number of different ways. So for example, mash always works. The reason why mash always works is because there's throw protection on wake up. You can't actually throw right as you're getting up. So you can always mash out of any throw. The other thing you can do, you can backdash and you get a full punch. You can also jump and get a full punch. And even invincible reversals in this game are meterless, so you don't have to spend drive and that sort of thing to get out. But the main way they're balanced is that strike in this game is a lot stronger. Throws, while a lot weaker, strike becomes stronger, and therefore, you can still run strong offense. But you can also tech with a delayed jab. You only take like half the damage of the throw, and you don't get as good of Oki. So that also mitigates the strength of the throw a little bit too. But the reason why I like this system better is because there's a little bit more nuance to it, right? There's a lot of different timings of like when to press buttons to get out. It encourages blocking, it encourages like reactive defense a lot more than just a pure guess that is a throw loop. So the second way is that a lot of games have option selects that let you do something else instead of the grab and also tech a throw. The most famous example of this is Street Fighter 4. Now Street Fighter 4 also didn't have throw protection, but because the option select to deal with throw was so strong, throws weren't considered to be overpowered. So the idea is this little kick that Ryu does, you could disguise a throw input behind this, and so therefore shimmies weren't a thing in this game, really. Because anytime that you went for a throw tech, you actually just stuck out a little button, which is very, very hard to punish. Another game really popular for us is Under Night and Birth. This one in the most current version is called the 3CAD option select. So it beats people doing dash throw, it beats people doing assault, which is like this little hop, and it also beats people just like waiting, so it's like anti-shimmy. The other cool thing is that if you ever tech a throw in Under Night, the opponent does like this little reel back animation. The character that teched the throw here actually recovers before Mika does. And because of that, if you read a throw by throw teching, you get to take your turn back. BB Tag, one of my favorite fighting games of all time, also had something very similar. So you see how they're throw teching here? They throw tech with this like 4-button input. And this time they're doing attack, you get push guard and a jump. And if they try to go for a shimmy, you just get air backdash. The third very obvious answer is that throws in some games are just reactable. So if you look at Tekken at high level, throws are almost always teched. People will sometimes throw them out just to like test their reactions or to beat certain options like sidestep because they cover that well, or to like beat armor moves, for example. So throws still have a use, but generally they are reactable unless you're playing against someone like King that purposely their throws are disguised because they're more of a grappler character, right? Virtual Fighter is also the same way. Throws are technically reactable, but you only have a 1/3 chance of breaking them, right? But still, that 1/3 chance of being able to guess the direction the throw is reduces the actual reward of the throw. Not to mention they're risky. You can they lose the mash and you can duck it and get a full punch. I want to mention Sparking Zero because that's another thing. Throws are reactable in Sparking Zero, but realistically, they're too reactable. They're like basically useless in Sparking Zero unless you like really catch someone sleeping at the wheel. So it should be very obvious, but throws are not reactable in Street Fighter 6. I'm gonna try to react. I'm literally only looking for throw. Impossible. Actually impossible. I had a master player recently who was like, yo, why can't I react to throws? Like, Capcom intentionally made the throw break window small enough that you can't react. And the last thing I want to talk about is throws being less rewarding. So a couple games that I think of that have really weak throw reward are Street Fighter 5 because the throws will like push you out, or 2x KO. If you don't have assist out, you just get mid-screen Oki, but it's really bad. But Street Fighter 6 actually also has some not as advantaged throws. An example is actually Kimberly. So Kimberly actually does less damage than everyone else on her throw. Instead of doing 1200, she does 1082. That kind of balance her ability to get you to the corner and pressure after a throw. But another example of this is actually some characters in Street Fighter 6. So if I go for a throw and to another throw, I actually cannot rethrow as Chun-Li. There's only a few characters in this game that don't have a throw. To my knowledge, it's Marissa, Chun-Li, Honda. Yeah, Gao doesn't, and then Lily. Coincidentally, 4 of these characters were 4 of the characters that were not a primary character in Capcom Cup. But the cool thing about these characters is that you can actually like drive rush and punish the jab, right? But you have to use a resource, and you can technically react to the drive rush with like invincible reversal. So in this sense, their throw loops are considered to be more balanced. And there's still mix-up potential. So for example, Lily, if you think they're gonna like try to throw your throw loop, there's other things you can do, right? You could try a shimmy, go for a throw. You can go, or you could go for like a command grab out of range. So for example, if I like walk up, do a command grab, that's gonna give you a punish counter on the jab. Another thing you can do is just go for strike, and you get a hit, and then you can go for another command grab. I like these kind of throw loops better because they lead to more nuance in the decision making, right? Jab on wake up in this game is very, very, very bad because it not only does it lose a throw, but it also loses a strike. And it doesn't really beat shimmy either, so it beats like nothing. Bash is probably one of the worst options you can do. Being able to give the opponent more defensive options and have more of a complex mind game between player and player, I think just adds more depth to the game. And so I do think throw loops in some fashion should be changed. The issue of throws in this game right now is the reward is so high compared to the risk. And you can adjust that in a number of different ways. You can make them reactable, therefore the reward is lower. You can make the Oki after a throw worse, the reward is lower. You can make the throws do less damage. Or you can take the alternative approach and either make throws mashable or jumpable, which increases the risk of the throw. You don't want to nerf throws too much because then defense becomes too strong. But you also want to change it to add more interaction. So I would make 2 changes to throws. 1, I would give throws just a little bit more recovery. Right now they're 30 frames total. I would maybe make it like 31 or 32. So the idea behind throws having a frame or 2 more recovery is that you always get a punish on backdash, which makes backdash a more viable option to represent at a high level. It would make jump a little bit stronger of an option. So here, Kim would be able to anti-air you, but maybe if it had a frame or 2 more recovery on these kind of jumps, on these kind of throws, the jump would be able to, give you a full combo. The other thing I would do is just make more people have throw loops like Chun-Li. So looking at this character select, I don't think a character like JP, for example, that has amazing zoning and very good neutral and crazy mix-ups in the corner with Portal, he probably doesn't need a throw loop. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. So maybe there are certain characters that I would remove throw loops from, but like characters that have to struggle to get in neutral, like maybe Manon. Manon should be able to keep a throw loop, to be honest. So maybe take away throw loops from some other character. Yeah, some of these other characters. And that way you're not changing too much about the game, but you're still slightly increasing the risk of throws. You know, I think another reason why throws are so dominant in this game is because corner carry is really strong, right? It's really easy to get someone to the corner in order to activate the throw loop. So you could potentially make the stages bigger or just give characters less corner carry. So throw loops come into play less often. But there's so many different ways you could change it, right? But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Street Fighter, regardless, can learn a lot from other games on how they approach throw loops and maybe just weaken them slightly. As we saw in Capcom Cup, they're pretty strong now. Actually, yeah, let's answer questions from chat. Why do I not like throws being more reactable? So the issue is it's either reactable or it's not, right? Okay, think of it this way. This game's balanced on things that are reactable, right? Like DI. So for example, DI is not barely reactable, it's always reactable. You can always react to a DI. It doesn't matter if it's laggy, it doesn't matter if you're on Wi-Fi, like you should still be able to react to DI because it's 26 frames. Now imagine you play Street Fighter 6 online and you can react to all throws because online connections are superior. You have your 240 hertz monitor. Now you go offline and you play on some shitty PS5 setup, and while you're used to reacting to throws, now you can't react to throws because you're playing on an Evo tournament standard, which is PS5, and you just get cooked because that 1 or 2 frames of difference of input lag changes the whole meta. I don't think things that are borderline reactable are good in like any fighting game. There's too many variables. Instead, I think a lot of things in this game are designed to be reactable, but there's a mental stack component. And I think that's the better way to do it because if you anticipate it, you can always react. Give Throw Techer plus frames. I like the idea. I think it's cool. To me, that's like a uni thing, but I'd be down if the Throw Techer had plus frames because if throw techs in this game feel very unrewarding. Or you could even do something like if you tech a throw, you remove a drive from the opponent. That'd be cool. It increases the risk of doing a throw. Buff jabs. So buffing jabs wouldn't do anything though. The issue is that it doesn't matter how fast your jab. Oh, actually, I guess if you made jabs faster, they would technically beat throw. But I would just remove the throw protection as opposed to buff jabs because I think jabs are pretty good as they are. No, I think Street Fighter 6 is the most reactionary game out there. And I think that's a good thing. The more reactive your gameplay, the better fighting game player you're gonna be, right? Just in general. Throw loops are something that are heavily refocused and people don't like it. So I definitely don't think hard reads in a fighting game are that amazing. If that's the case, go play rock, paper, scissors. I think you need a healthy read of both. I like fighting games that have more nuance to decision making. Let's put it that way. And I think right now, throw loops do not give very much nuance to decision making. But that's what I mean. There's so many different options. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. I'll let you guys decide. This will be the final thing we do this stream. How do you change throw loops? Keep throws the same. More pushback on throws. Throw invul on wake up. Throws are reactable. Throw tech more rewarding. Interesting. We're pretty split, actually. Only 3 people want to keep. I think that's the big takeaway from this poll, that only 3 people want to keep throws the same. You know what? That's my takeaway from the poll. Is it doesn't matter how you change it. Just for the love of God, don't keep throws the same. Capcom, please. All right. Anyways, yeah, I think the TLDR from this poll, there's a lot of good solutions out there. Of course, the Street Fighter players want more pushback on throw because that's what they did in Street Fighter. But we should be keeping throws the same. Come on, Capcom, bro. Only 5% of the people want throws the same. Capcom, please. Diaphone out. Have a good one.